The best comeback ever? Oh no, what did Denmark do? Oh no! Oh no! So they're clearly going to do something with the US. Let's see
after Trump's threats of buying Greenland and imposing high tariffs.
No.
Denmark has declared that it would buy California, and they signed an online petition for
You're going to buy my state? Denmark is about to own me, which is weird because I apparently have ancestors from Denmark. I guess I'm going back to the homeland.
Denmark has declared that it would buy California.
The tariffs probably made them real pissed, not just the Greenland
nearly
thing.
200K signs.
200,000 signatures?
Of $28K per person.
Wait. There's 200,000 people that signed that Denmark should buy California. Literally, talk about a fantastic reverse card because we are now questioning, is California for sale? The Americans are obviously saying, no, California is not for sale. And that's the same thing Denmark's been saying about Greenland. Like, put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine if, like, Denmark, gets a new leader and it's just like, hey, we're going to buy California from you. And if you don't do it, we're going to impose tariffs. Americans would be like, what? So 200,000 signatures.
They're also running a fundraiser of $28K per person to buy California. Lastly, Lego $28 per person with the signatures? Or every person, every resident living in Denmark? I mean, $28 times 200,000 people that signed it is 5.6 million. I don't think we'd sell California for 5.6 million. But that might be the point. Like, they're trying to super lowball us. Now, instead, if you got the almost 6 million people that currently live in Denmark to all donate $28, I mean, now we're talking over 100. That's still nowhere near the worth of California, but again, I get the principle. Wait, no, what's Lego about to do now? Fundraiser of $28,000 to buy California. Lastly, Lego executives and the cast of Danish political drama would pull off this deal.
Wait, what? They're the ones that are pushing this? Lego's just trying to expand their Lego empire. As a Californian, I wonder what free healthcare would be like. I guess we're gonna find out. Alternative universe, Denmark threatens to invade us. If Denmark buys California, I'm moving there to get EU citizenship. We'd probably be giving it too, since Greenlanders do technically have EU citizenship as well. EU citizenship sounds so tight. I'm about to go live in a random town in Romania. This seems so nice, even with the weird eyeballs in the rooftops that I see in Romania. What's crazy is people forget that America was trying to buy Greenland 4 other times: 1867, 1910, 1946, and 2019. I also think the US states would be willing to give up California too. Yeah, they actually really like this. You might get them on board. They might help you out, Denmark. Thank you for informing us, InfoHub. They lied to us?
Africa are literally connected through landmass, which questions whether they are separate or a huge continent called afro-eurasia.
Oh, I was just ranting in a video last week about how Eurasia is a continent, but this is also a very legitimate argument as well. Like, why not throw in Africa too? Look at this purple flag. Afro-eurasia.
Whether they are separate
is that the name that we got for it?
Continent called afro-eurasia.
Yeah,
just
doesn't sound too
imagine
bad.
if Europe has a distinct culture than Asia and is called a separate continent. Why aren't South Asia or Middle East separate continents?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad someone's making a video about this. I thought I was the only one ranting about it. I mean, unfortunately, it is Europe. I'm sorry to say, like, Europe, you're getting special treatment, I think. Maybe America is as well. You could also argue that both North and South America should just be labeled as America, the American continent, only one of them. But to be fair, there's really only a couple of miles of land that connects North America to South America. And also the land between North America and South America is significantly thinner than the land between Asia and Africa. So maybe this whole Afro-Eurasia thing does make a lot of sense. Let's see the other arguments, though.
If Europe has a distinct culture than Asia and is called a separate continent, why aren't South Asia or Middle East separate continents?
I love those two examples because, I mean, yeah, those are the possible other continents. If you wanted to add more continents to make it even harder for the geography students, then yeah, South Asia, the Middle East absolutely should be their own things.
By this theory, every country is a continent, which means we got 195 continents instead of 7. Geographically, the Suez Canal separates Asia and Africa, while the Urals and Caucasus Mountains separate Asia and Europe.
And this also goes to Oceania. Don't think I forgot about you, Australia. That's another big topic for the continental conversation. I personally like to say Oceania is the continent, not just Australia alone. But you know what? If we're going to go with this Afro-Eurasia way of thinking, then maybe Australia does deserve to be its own continent because we're talking purely from a geographical standpoint. One thing's for sure, though, if you're saying that we have 7 continents in the world, then we are definitely not just considering geography for this. There's definitely a cultural aspect. I still think about this world atlas map they have to describe certain continents, letting Central America and the Caribbean be their own continent, and then just the Middle East, not South Asia. I bet you anything there's a massive war in the comment section right now. Average Euro-Afro-Asia's enjoyers. One reason why we would never do this, though, is just the population numbers would be so insane. You're talking like 50% of all humans on one continent, so that would, or maybe even more, 60%. Wow.
Wow. Well, using your logic, we only have 3 continents then: America, Antarctica, and Euro-average Oceania. Understanding, negative 100%, confusion, 100%. By this logic, Indian subcontinent is also a separate continent, as it is separated from Asia by the Himalayas in the north, and much of the east, ocean in the south, and the deserts in the mountain west. Yeah, there's an argument to be made that, yeah, that should be their own continent, just like Europe. South Asia is so significantly different than East Asia, as we all know. Well, actually, according to my calculations, continents are divided from their tectonic plates, which means for example, in Africa, there's contained African plate and the Somali plate. Somalia is a continent. When will this conversation end? 9 countries were not invited to, apparently, Queen Elizabeth's funeral. 9? That's kind of a lot, but also considering there's 196 countries, that's actually not that many. Dang, that's a lot to try to guess, though. 9 countries? Okay, well, one of them is definitely Russia and North Korea is the other. Wait, I might be able to get this. Probably no Iran either. Probably no Cuba. Probably maybe no China. I mean, that'd be crazy to not invite China. I mean, Queen Elizabeth had a pretty, a relationship with China, a pretty big one over the course of her life. There's a lot that I'm missing. There's probably another one in the Americas, maybe Nicaragua. Oh, Venezuela. But let's see. Let's see the answers.
That weren't invited to the funeral.
Belarus.
Queen
Elizabeth
no Belarus. II. And these countries are Belarus,
there it is.
Russia,
there it is.
Nicaragua.
Ah! Oh, he's going over to Venezuela. Nicaragua is sometimes like seen as like, they vote, interestingly, in the UN. We got Venezuela. We're probably going to get Cuba.
Syria.
Oh! Was Cuba invited, really? Syria, I forgot about Syria. I should have known.
Iran,
there's Iran. Oh, no,
Myanmar,
Afghanistan.
And North Korea.
Oh,
Besides
China was.
Those 9 countries,
okay, yeah, it didn't
world
feel
was
right to
invited.
say maybe China, no China. Wow, wait, Cuba got an invite. Is that really 9? Who's the 9th? Did the UK not get invited to her funeral? Oh, no, I just miscounted. Okay, yeah, these are all the countries. Man, I forgot about I knew about Nicaragua. I didn't think they'd I thought they would get an invite. Surprisingly, North Korea was invited to King Charles' coronation, though. You'd be surprised at how often he does get an invite, but obviously he doesn't show up. He doesn't leave the country. He hasn't been... He's not that well traveled, technically, as he's ruled over North Korea. As a kid, he famously went to Disney World with his dad. Even Bhutan went to the funeral, even though it does not recognize the UK. Even Argentina. That's crazy considering the history with the UK and the Falkland Islands. Even Turkmenistan made it to the funeral. Argentina, Cuba, Ireland, Spain, France, and China. We still respect Queen Elizabeth, even though we have beef with the UK. Yeah, surprisingly, all of Africa got lucky. Interesting that on an embassy level, North Korea, Nicaragua, and Iran were invited, just only the embassies. I mean, it's just crazy because she had lived such a long life, especially as queen, that pretty much every country at one point in history probably did have some sort of history with her. It's an interesting way to divide up the world globally, David.
So
what if NATO
if
countries
some
fought?
country attacks
Oh
a NATO member,
boy.
it should get blasted into pieces.
Yes.
However, what if a NATO member attacks another member?
Okay, this is a very funny what if scenario, but it's been asked for a very long time now, specifically because of one region between 2 countries. Like, we all know this video is not going to be specifically about Greece and Turkey, but it's basically about Greece and Turkey.
NATO
but let's
member
see.
should get blasted into pieces.
Ireland would be
However,
destroyed
what if a NATO member
overnight.
attacks another member? For example, if France attacked Germany, NATO's first move would...
It's weirdly safer. That's like the best way. Like, once you join NATO, you very likely could just attack another NATO member and they're just let it happen. Maybe that's why Russia initially wanted to join NATO back in the day. It actually wasn't just NATO, it was actually the Soviet Union. So that would have been actually a 4D chess move. I mean, if you let Russia in NATO, then you can't attack them, right? But let's see if France and Germany went to war.
If France attacked Germany,
as 2 NATO members,
move would probably be to just remain neutral and
probably
let these
is the
countries
key,
sort it out.
but we don't know 100%. Technically, if France attacked Germany and it was a very obvious, like, offensive military move, then yeah, I guess NATO could go after France.
However, since France would probably destroy Germany, and we know Germany is a really important asset for NATO.
Interesting. France would probably destroy Germany. I guess. I think I would agree with that. But I don't think it would be that straightforward.
Since France would probably destroy Germany, and we know Germany is a really important asset for NATO.
NATO wouldn't be
NATO's
okay
other
with it.
option is to just use Article 5 against the attacker.
Yes.
So since France is the attacker, all 32 members are supposed to fight for Germany.
We don't know if they all would, though. That's the best way to destroy NATO. Just have a division happen on the inside. Maybe that's why you don't want NATO to get too big. Everyone gangsta until Germany adds 100 million to its military budget. We live in a time where Germany would need help to defend from France. Funny enough, out of the European NATO members, you could argue there's a couple different like rankings for strongest member. Probably is France at number 1, but you do have Poland. There's also Turkey. I think Germany's just trying not to make people too afraid. If they start spending on the military, people start freaking out. France invading Germany, how the tables have turned. Nah, Germany ain't losing to that country. I mean, they did in World War I. Guys, why did my Argentinian grandpa start crying after watching this video? I'm getting flashbacks. flashbacks to the Napoleonic Wars. Thank you for the explanation, Matt Blatt. How the world reacted to the Vietnam War. Well, I'm assuming if you were allied to the West, you were pro-Vietnam War. Or if you were part of the communist world or the second world, you really didn't like it. You wanted the North to win.
How did every major country react to US
France,
involvement?
well, we came and helped out France because we kind of took it over for them. Remember, Vietnam was formerly part of the French Empire.
Involvement in the Vietnam War. China supplied aid to the North and monitored
so
the
Soviet
situation
Union.
closely
And North Korea.
Fearful of the U.S. military so close to their borders, which is why they considered intervening just like they did in the Korean War.
That would have been, I mean, they didn't have to because, well, the U.S. took a pretty big L.
Were initially supportive, but as U.S. brutality became more known, they became much less enthusiastic and
I could
refused
see
to send
that.
troops in alongside America.
Oh,
France was
that's a
extremely
good point.
critical of the U.S. and warred against them intervening, having just been kicked out of Indochina a few years prior. Finally, the Soviets were pretty pissed and supplied aid to North Vietnam and would eventually start their own Vietnam in Afghanistan in retaliation.
That's a great point to add to it. Afghanistan was the Soviet Union's Vietnam, lasted for way too long, like a decade there, and that is how the U.S. got back at Russia. We supplied people in Afghanistan, and that totally didn't bite us in the butt. You forgot about how Ho Chi Minh was devastated as he saw America as a potential ally, seeing America fight against the colonial rule. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the Vietnamese and the American Revolution. Well, not included, Sweden actively showed support for the Viet Cong. France telling the USA to fight Vietnam. Also France when USA fight Vietnam. I don't know. What did you want? France? OMG, the US is so mean. USA, wasn't this your operation? What's kind of ironic is that after the Vietnam War, China invaded Vietnam. Thailand, oh look, my neighbors are bickering again. How nice. They're always so chill in Thailand. I wish we would have talked about Australia. Australia joined us. South Korea joined us. There's a lot more than just that. Actually, Thailand even joined us. New Zealand, the Philippines, Spain. Oh, Spain was not very many, but as always, really love this style of video history. Now, here's another one. This one about the unification of Italy. Now, this peninsula was extremely divided after the Roman Empire fell. You had different countries controlling the south versus different countries controlling the north. I feel like a lot of the world probably didn't love it. I'll be honest, a lot of the European world.
Of Italy in 1871.
1871 when they finally completed it.
Yes. They held territory in the region and
I would imagine
Italy undermined.
Oh, the French might have liked it because of certain reasons.
Their influence on the peninsula and in the Balkans. Germany viewed Italy as a potential future ally and admired the nationalist ideas.
They definitely did.
Europe. France thought that Italy could counterbalance Austrian power, but they didn't like how Italy conquered the Papal States after French troops left India.
Yeah, I'm sure it was mixed for France, but weirdly, they were kind of cool with it. They also liked controlling parts of northern Italy, though, historically.
With more pressing issues. Britain felt that Italy could help maintain balance in Europe, which fit with their foreign policy of not wanting to deal with the continent at all. Finally, Russia was concerned about nationalism spreading to their ethnically diverse empire, and so they weren't exactly thrilled.
That's interesting from Russia. I would expect Russia to be cool with it, like a new potential friend in the region. Germany viewed Italy as a potential future ally. Meanwhile, in 1915, yeah, that was not the case. But in the World War II, in the sequel, they got the ally. Remember, this time, like, it was just about a balance of power in Europe, but that also ended up biting them all in the butt because of the World War. Speaking of which, what about the evolution of Austria, a historical rival to Italy? This is Austria in 2024. But if you go back to 1945, there was different occupations going on because they were punished for World War II. Remember that, this is where the skinny mustache man actually came from. German occupation this is during the Anschluss, so Austria was independent. Then right before World War II, Germany came and just united. 1918, right after World War I, this is before World War I. Obviously, the Habsburg Empire, very, very powerful nation. Habsburg Austria back in the 1500s. The Duchy, this is when they were on their rise to fame. Oh, are we saying that the Holy Roman Empire? Oh, they were in it. They were certainly in it. East Francia, too, there were lands. The Frankish kingdom, obviously Austria was formerly, they had lands. The Celtic tribes. We went way back in time. I wasn't expecting it to go that far back. I am from Austria. Cool. 1918 was the first republic, and it did not look like this, sadly. Love from India. Love that there's always one guy saying that. Why are the Indians saying that in my comment section? It's crazy. They really don't have to go that far back in time, and the Austrians were like an extremely powerful player. Now, it doesn't feel like that as much, but they definitely hold a very strong cultural impact. That video is by Geoverse. Nice. As always, big ol' thanks to the patrons. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund. Rip Grandpa. I will force Drew to eat Spanish food unless he remembers Imperial and modern Japan have the same flag. Alexander the Terrible. Connor Pavlik. DOOCHBAGGINS. Fredrik Tibblin. KingBearHaze. LuxembourgLover. NordTyrol. Niglu the Goat. Tambre. Check that link down below if you want your name here